How y'all doing today? I'd like to ask you something. What do you think is happening in the moment when two individuals or multiple individuals are responding off of rage and anger? And in that moment, those are two parties or multiple parties begin to get into this argument, whatever the case may be. There's a moment that two individuals, something is happening internally. Something happens to one individual, and then that one individual comes to the other individual. And it can be a word, any type of, negative gesture that can cause for a response in said individual where rage comes up. And in that moment when the rage comes up, both parties are now hijacked. Yes, sir. You've been robbed. You were a hostage. You were ejected out of your vehicle. And a darker entity has taken over your vehicle. So now you got two dark entities going at each other. To the point where violence occurs, serious bodily injuries, bodily harms, or to the point of death. And in that moment, you have other beings that are hovering over said area and feeding off that. A couple of chicken wings, some corn, some potatoes, past the gravy. It's a 4-course meal. The whole area is being swarmed by these entities. And this is the system that we are living in right now in this day and time. As people get to the point where they're not responding on intelligence, however, they are responding from said rage, said trauma. And in that moment, this is when they say, I don't know what happened. I blacked out. I don't even remember. You've been hijacked. That's the blacking out. You gave your keys to an unauthorized individual, force. And they use it to their advantage. And this plays a part in the entire world right now. Because we're not taught how to respond from intelligence, even in that moment of rage. So what if that moment is a gift from the universe to both parties? That when that individual gestures you or does something that triggers you, when that rage comes up, instead of responding on the illusion on the outside of yourself, why not just feel that rage? That rage will go from top to bottom of the entire body. And the body is so uniquely powerful that the body will begin to constrict this rage, this anger, this trauma. And it will begin to integrate this rage, this trauma, this devastating wound to the point where you can respond and tell the individual that try to hijack you, this dark entity, to get on the body there. Nah, not happening here. And by you responding from intelligence, you are telling the individual that's coming at you with the hijacking, you are telling that individual to get out of that vehicle and allow the other individual to take hold back over his vehicle. And these are physical bodies that I'm talking about as a vehicle. And by you feeling that rage, what is that doing is that's causing for more expansion. Another level of consciousness. You're raising up. And by doing this multiple times, because this process takes some time, feeling all of this, you become lighter, to the point where you don't feel weighted down. At the same time, you change your diet too to go along with it. And now you're rising in a certain amount of level of consciousness that will cause for you to operate from how a human being, uniquely creative talents, is supposed to operate off their abilities. Not from a condensed, low vibration, negative response when we think it's normal. But we were trained with fascism to keep us at that low level so we can keep feeding, say, entities. So imagine the world that we are transforming into right now. That individuals are beginning to do this process. Seeing their outer world change. Seeing the low light. And to the point where we can ascend to the fifth dimension or higher levels. And express intelligence in that world on a continuous basis, instead of responding always to your own wounds. So your wounds is projecting on the outside of you. Once again, that's telling you that something is going on inside of you that you need to look into. But we haven't been taught that. We've been taught to keep responding out of that negative trauma. You imagine a war zone, even the war they're talking about happening right now. The amount of intensity, negatively, fearfully, rage in a war zone, from the battle to the death. It's an all-out feast. And this is why they produce that stuff. So they can get an all-out feast on feeding time off of individuals that does not know how to respond from the intelligent side, the higher side. They are responding from a false entity side, fascism side, manipulation side that keeps you locked in third density. So that's all the message I wanted to give to you today. If you can respond, think before you respond. Feel that pain before you respond. That'll change your outcome. You'll step into new levels of consciousness. Your whole being will change. You begin the process of taking on your higher self for why you was here. You'll find your soul's purpose. The more healing you do, the more you're allowing for your higher purpose to reveal itself, to flow through you. Enjoy your day.